just back from space is Emma. Our first grader is Alexander. And celebrating her first space week is Kirsten from first grade. Our kindergarten. Hi, Kirsten. To lead us this morning in both the Pledge of Allegiance and the Young Astronauts Pledge, I would like to ask our Student Council President and Vice President to step forward. Please give a round of applause for Evan and Satomi.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Others towards these goals. Thank you.
Okay, we need everybody's attention. Just over here. You know, whenever NASA gets ready to launch a rocket, there's sometimes things that stand in the way of the launch. And today, we have to make an adjustment because of the fact that we have a screen hanging over here. So we're going to ask for the cooperation of the first graders over here and the kindergartners. Their teachers are going to guide them so that they can fill in this space right here that will enable them to see the screen. So let's just give them about a minute to do that. Okay, I think everybody's pretty much settled, and I think everybody should will be able to see the screen pretty well. So I think it's your turn.
Mr. Dunn, good morning. This is an exciting morning and exciting week for school. First I'm going to invite the artist who did the...
Can't hear you.
First I'm... Good morning and welcome. Just a minute, I want to invite the artists to their drawings for the grade level shirts to come up right here by me. So William, I see you from first grade. Gregory, if you carefully come around. And first thought there was a center row, and no center row. Okay, and third grade, Mary is grade, and I'll introduce them as they stand in order here. William, come on this side right here. William, Mary, and Leah, and Shannon. Good morning. In the art studio, one of the things I tell the students that artists and scientists have a lot in common. And what do they have in common sometimes if they say to me? And I have actually a list that we brainstormed. Artists and scientists observe, they make observations, they experiment, they ask questions, they're curious, they're definitely curious. They have the ability to solve problems. They think of new ideas. The expression, think outside of the box, applies to both artists and scientists. They make models, they take risks, and artists and scientists are creative and innovative. It is my pleasure this morning to introduce the artists for the grade level 2010 space shirts. The first one I'm going to hold up is from the kindergarten in the afternoon. And actually, Miss Bono, would you hold this one up? She's wearing the shirt, and this is from Gap. We'll give an applause to the very end. I'll introduce everybody, and then we'll give one big round of applause. So don't clap yet. Hold that clapping applause. Kindergarten's theme was the sun, the earth, and the moon. And the artist who did that drawing for kindergarten is Gabby Infante. First grade, standing right in front of me, is first grade theme solar system. They study a lot about the planets, and their theme is the solar system. The artist from first grade who did that drawing is William Stewart. And it was a second grade artist to introduce. Second grades do a lot of studying astronaut training and the space shuttle. They just finished their missions from last week. And Gregory Fry is the artist who is Gregory Fry from second grade wearing his drawing for the second grade space shirt. Third grade, standing in front of me, their theme is space colonies. The artist who did the drawing for third grade is Mary Sleutham. Fourth grade studies satellites. There's a lot of study with satellites as their theme. And Mia Kim is the artist who did the drawing for fourth grade.
Nope.
One more, hold your applause. Fifth grade. They do really in-depth studying and training for the theme of astronaut training, and the drawing reflecting that theme was done by Shannon Shen. Each of these kids represent themselves as an artist. They also represent their grade level for the theme, and we are very proud of it. If you look out to see the green, blue, black, red, gray, and navy blue t-shirts. So a big round of applause for our artists. Take their seats, and exhibit behind me will be hanging in the hallway, so you get a chance to look at the drawings that were printed. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. I think you can tell that I am Dr. Earth, and I happen to have a very close friend of mine that I brought today, and that happens to be, see if you can guess, Dr. Moon. Now, why do I have Dr. Moon here? This is why. We decided that this week, our Space Week, before Dr. Earth takes over, I want to ask you a question. Actually, it's a riddle.
All right, go ahead.
I want you to see if you can figure this out. A good idea is great, but only if you work on it. What's that mean?
Good idea is great. It means we all have great ideas, But if we don't take those ideas and use them,
it's not going to matter, because nothing will get done. So you have to have ideas, and then you have to work on those ideas to make them work. Is that what you're after, Dr.?
Well, yeah, well, then my next question is this. We have a program today where somebody in 1961 came up with a fantastic idea, but it was kind of wild at the time. But sure enough, about 400,000 people worked on this idea and made it become a reality. Who do you think I'm talking about?
do I have to say his name? I know his name. But he was a scientist that worked for NASA.
And he came up with the idea of how we could get to the moon.
I think he's one of the 400,000, but he's not the guy. No. He's one of 400,000, but the man I was talking about was one of our former presidents.
President John Kennedy.
That's right, he's known as the space president. So today, we're talking about the 1960s, right? So just to keep in mind that President Kennedy is known as the space president, and it's his promise that we're going to look at and study about this week. So, there you go, Dr.
All right, Dr. Moon, we thought it might be fun this week to look at the moon because it's such an important part of our solar system and it's so valuable to the Earth that we need to know a lot about it. So to set the stage for that, we wanted to think about a couple things. First of all, we know that we live on the Earth, and this is blue because the Earth is made up a lot of water. And we also know that the moon travels around the Earth. Dr. Moon, can you go around? I'll be the Earth, you be the moon. And you know what? Just keep walking for a while, all right? We call this an orbit. Now, the moon is very important to the Earth. How many days, Dr. Moon, does it take for you to travel around the Earth?
About 29, more or less.
Now, ever since the earliest time, humans have looked at the moon and said, boy, would I like to go there. And in the 1960s, the United States actually did that. And they used two very important vehicles. Dr. Moon, can you grab that one? They used a Saturn V rocket, and inside the Saturn V was the LEM, the Lunar Excursion Module. And when they got to the moon, the LEM traveled around the moon. Where's that moon, Dr. Moon? It traveled around the moon until it was time to actually go and land so that people could walk on the moon. Now we are going to show you exactly how that happened, and we are so lucky that Mr. Nebbia's class put together a video which explains how it happened and what was going on in the United States in 1969. So if we could have the left light switch off and all the way on the right light switch off, turn your attention to the video screen.
should have used one of the trash receptacles located for his convenience. Oh boy. Thank you for coming to Hawes. Now just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
In January 1969, the New York Jets beat the Baltimore Colts in the Super Bowl, and they have not won it since. In 1969, the Mets won the World Series, and it took them 17 years to win it again. In 1969, you, the students of Hawes School, weren't even born yet. Your grandparents wanted to be their parents. Yes. And your parents were becoming parents. In 1969, Fred Favre was born. Hawes School was 4 years old. Sarah Palin was 5 years old. Barack Obama was 8 years old. Mr. Potato Head was 17 years old. And George Bush was 23 years old.
In 1969, iPods weren't invented yet. Portable music was still 10 years away when the Sony Walkman would be invented to play the cassette tape.
In 1969, only some families owned color TV. Many houses had black and white TVs, some as late as 13 inches. And in 1969, Americans watched only one of only a handful of TV stations. No Disney Channel, no Nick, no Discovery Channel, no History Channel, no ABC Family, and no Food TV, no Cartoon Network, and no ESPN. Just 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. In 1969, no one wore rollerblades. They wouldn't be invented for another 10 years. And the Baconator, not invented yet. The first Wendy's opened in November of that year. In 1969, video games didn't exist. The first video game, Pong, was invented in 1972. And the posted them not until 1974. 1969, no internet, no iPods, no video games, no flat screen TV, no flat screen computers, no engines, no cable. But in 1969, Apollo 11 landed on the moon. For centuries, mankind had dreamed of landing on the moon. Who wondered, is there life on the moon? Can we live in the moon? Is there air and breathable water on the moon? Is the moon made of cheese? We wondered, how can we reach the moon? And how can we make it back to Earth? To answer these questions, NASA was created in 1958, and American astronauts and Russian cosmonauts began their quest to be the first to reach the moon. In 1961, President Kennedy challenged America to land a man on the moon by the end of the decade. But Russia appeared to be closer to reaching the goal, leading the space race with many soldiers. Among their many successful firsts, Russia launched Sputnik 1, the first satellite, Sputnik 2 was Lake as the first space dog,
Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, and Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman in space.
But as the decade drew to a close, America, through the hard work and determination of many, landed on the moon. On July 20th, 1969, 4 days after liftoff from the Atlantic coast of Florida, Apollo 11 became the first manned mission to successfully land on the moon. And now we take you back to a live broadcast of that historic day.
HMN headquarters in Ridgewood, New Jersey. It is July 20th, 1969, and man is about to land on the moon for the very first time. In less than 3 minutes, the Eagle will touch down on the moon's surface. With me is our science editor, Mr. Mark Milky Way. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Veronica, Asteroid Belt.
So, what do we know so far?
Well, so far, we know that the Eagle took off successfully. 4 days ago, on July 16, 1969, at 1:32 in the afternoon, the Saturn V rocket had a successful launch. The Eagle has now been traveling for over 100 hours.
That is an awfully long time for 3 people to be crammed in such a small space. I wonder how they're feeling.
I would imagine extremely tired and excited.
At least. Excuse me. This is breaking news. We are getting news directly from NASA that the Eagle is beginning its descent. 102 hours and 45 minutes into their flight, and the Eagle is finally about to land on the surface of the moon.
Such an exciting time. No one has ever landed on the moon before. Think of all the possibilities.
Let's listen to a clip of what the astronauts are saying.
The captain does. Bank down. 4 forward, drift into the right level. 30 seconds. Forward, drift. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. Houston, tranquility base here. The Eagle has landed.
Well, folks, there you have it. The Eagle has landed. Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong have just landed on the moon. They will meet back up with Michael Collins in a few hours.
I'm so excited to see what happens next. Do you realize that no person has ever set foot on the moon or intentionally sent anything to the moon? This is the most excited I've been in, well, forever.
Me too! You're not the only one excited. Remember, there are approximately 530 million people glued to their television sets right now, waiting to see what's going to happen. And we're going to watch here in the studio live coverage as well. Oh, I'm hearing something. I think something is happening.
And step off the limb. That's one small step for man. One giant leap for mankind. We'll raise the flight that's on the top landing gear of this limb. This is 2 hemispheres, one showing each of the 2 hemispheres of Earth. Underneath it says, "Dear men from the planet Earth, first step foot upon the moon, July 1969, indeed. Became indeed for all mankind." And as the crew member's signatures and signature of the President of the United States.
Well, now it's time to show the world that the United States is, in fact, the first country in the history of mankind to successfully arrive at the moon. Let's listen in and watch as Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong insert the flag and communicate with NASA.
Take a step forward. See if you can pull that in, but off a little. Take that in a little. It won't fly. Okay. Yeah, radio line clear. How's it going? Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. I believe they're setting up the flag now. Lighting halfway decent? Yes, indeed. They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar surface.
Now, as we watch them, understand that they only have about 2.5 hours to get everything done. They are going to need to collect rock samples, take photographs, set up experiments, and set up a laser to measure the distance between the moon and the Earth. Unfortunately, they do not have time to just sit back and relax.
I can understand that as well.
Excuse
excited, but we ask that you remain seated and calm at the end of this presentation. We have more to show and need your cooperation. Thank you. We now resume our broadcast already in progress.
This is Veronica, Asteroid Belt.
And Mark Milky Way signing off for now as we let the events that have transpired sink in.
We'll get back to you soon, bringing you up-to-the-minute coverage of the first lunar landing.
The show starts in 1 minute.
You have to send me a picture. I didn't take anything.
And now, on with the show.
There once was a time when astronauts walked on the moon. A time when everyone's dreams were, when are we going to live on the moon? Well, it has been 37 years since we landed on the moon, but no one has ever stopped dreaming about it. Today, 3 of our finest astronauts are going to dare to do the impossible. They're going to return to the moon and bring us all with them. On board we have Commander Dunn, Commander J, and lastly, Commander Sevendinger. They are 3 of the bravest and smartest astronauts we know. They will travel over 250,000 miles and more than 4 days before they reach the moon. And you are coming too. So settle in and enjoy the ride.
Houston, how are we doing?
Give me a go, no go for launch. Booster. Go. Retro. Go. Vital.
We're go fly.
Guidance. Guidance go. Surgeon.
Go fly.
Econ.
We're go flight.
GNC.
We're go.
Tell me to go. Control.
Go fly.
Procedures.
Go.
Inco.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Network.
Go.
Recovery.
Go.
Capcom.
We're go fly.
Launch control, this is Houston.
We are go for launch. T-minus 60 seconds and counting.
Hey, Mr. Dunn, have you ever flown one of these rockets before? I'm not sure I know what I'm doing.
Mr. J, you're the pilot. You better know what to do.
Would you two pipe down? We're going to the moon.
We are go for launch. T-minus
15, 14, 13, 12, 11,
This is so exciting.
9,
We're going to the moon. First, we have to get there. Hang tight. This is going to be bumpy. Mr. Dunn, which one is the EDS auto switch?
I don't know. I think it's this one.
You guys could have told me you were going to do that, but at least we're going to the moon. Stage 1 away.
Stage 2. It's away.
Are we there yet? No. When are we going to get to the moon?
Okay, gentlemen, we finally made it.
All right, Hawes. Time to do some great exploring of the moon. Good luck, and we'll see you in a week.
Okay, now we're gonna have to stay in the dark here for a little while because the lights are just starting to come back, but I need everybody's attention. You've been a great audience, and I hope that you've learned something truly about what it takes to send people to the moon. But you know, for this assembly to happen, it takes a lot of people too. When they send people to the moon, 400,000 people did various jobs to make it possible. But this program this morning was done by the help of a lot of people. So, you know, one person that I'd like to have come up here is Commander Gardner, because he's the man who designed and built these spacecraft. And I'd like all the other people who helped put this show together to please come up. Please come up. I know there's more people. You know, Commander Gardner called me up one morning and he said, you know, Mr. Dunn, it's kind of boring. I'm tired. I don't know what to do with myself anymore. So I said, well, I think I can give you a project to work on. And lo and behold, this is what he did. So again, a real big round of applause for him. Okay, secondly, how many people here remember the real moon landing? Raise your hand. Don't be bashful now. We're counting. We're counting. We can count. Okay. Me too. Most of the people in this room don't remember it, of course, but we had the next best thing because of Mrs. Ralph and Mr. T. So let's clap for them. Mr. Nebbia put together the historical outlook on things in 1960. I remember 1969. All those things are true. So let's clap for him. And Ms. Amaguchi was everywhere. She prepared the astronauts. She got them going, got them dressed, on board on the right time. To my right, you have one of the strongest people in the school, Mr. Staunton. He lifted up the spacecraft. His helper is standing right next to him, Dr. Earth. Dr. Earth, thank you very much. And Mrs. Roger also was everywhere, making signs, helping in wherever help was needed. So, again, this is the team that made it possible. Mrs. Rhoda is very bashful, but she also helps. She's standing back there. And Mrs. Steiner also helps. And Dr. Sen, I'd like you to come over here for a minute, if you would. And you can take over from here.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Listen, everybody. Mr. Dunn keeps talking about a big, giant number that I don't think we should forget. The number is 400,000. That's a 4 with 5 zeros after it. That's a gigantic number. And that's how many people had to come together in the United States in order to put people on the moon and return them home safely. And that's what John F. Kennedy said in 1961. He said, by the time the 1960s are over, we want to be able to take a man, a couple of them, and bring them to the moon, have them land, and also the other important part of that was to bring them home safely. And that couldn't have done except for all those people, all the people in mission control, all of the people who are the astronauts, all of the people who built every little part of all those spacesuits and the spaceships, and all of the scientists and the thinkers. They all worked together in order to make it happen. And we did it. And it's just one of the great moments in the history of our entire country. Now, in the beginning of the year, with the space theme, I started off and I said, reach for the moon. Make that your goal for the year. And even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Well, I was reading another book about space. And the book talks about everybody landing on the moon in the whole Apollo program. And there's another quote that was in that book that I think really makes a lot of sense. And it's something I need you to keep in mind this week. This is the quote. The quote says, "It is a rough path that leads to the stars." In other words, it's not easy. It's a rough path. It's going to be hard work. It's going to take time. It's going to take mistakes. It's going to take teamwork. But if we go down that rough path, we will be able to get from here all the way to the stars. Now, listen, Space Week is one of the most amazing things that